You know what I'm getting tired of? You know what I'm getting to the Democratic Party? You know what I'm getting really pissed off about? I'm getting really ticked off at every time they open their mouth about something pertaining to y'all, they seem right.
What's happening, everybody? Yesterday, outspoken sports commentator Stephen A. Smith reported on a DOJ report that divulged that there were 26 FBI informants on the ground at the Capitol on January 6, 2021. Stephen A. Smith sends a scathing message to the Democrat Party after pointing out that all of the so-called right-wing conspiracy theories about the Democrats seem to be coming true. I can't do this video justice, so Stephen A. Smith, take it away. Oh, and let's go.
I want to get into some politics before we get on out of here, as we've now entered the final month of Joe Biden's presidency. And for the sake of argument, it hasn't been a good one. The Democrats lost the White House, Senate, and House in the November election. Meanwhile, this week, FBI Director Christopher Wray announced plans to resign at the end of the Biden administration as President-elect Donald Trump takes office in January. The news comes amidst a bombshell report from the Justice Department that revealed the FBI had at least 26 confidential informants on the ground when the Capitol was stormed on January 6, 2021. The report says most of the informants engaged in illegal activity during the chaos. The Justice Department says only 3 of its 26 informants present had been instructed to observe potential domestic terrorist suspects on the day of the riot. The rest of the 23 appear to have gone to the Capitol on their own accord. Upon hearing news of the report, Vice President-elect J.D. Vance posted the following on X, quote, "For those keeping score at home, this was labeled a dangerous conspiracy theory months ago," end quote. So 23 folks for the FBI were in the crowd. And we're just finding that out. Didn't hear anything about that for the election. Didn't hear anything about that when the quote-unquote insurrection was broached by Vice President Kamala Harris as the Democratic nominee, by President Biden before her, by Democrats in both the House and the Senate as they articulated the belief that Donald Trump was a danger to democracy and using this as a profound, illuminating bullet point to make that case. And now here we are yet again finding...
Hey, if you like watching videos like this, like and subscribe. I'd really appreciate it. Let's get back to the video.
Even more evidence to Donald Trump's claims when he articulated that the process is rigged, the Democrats are this or that, they're talking about us, but look at what they do. We don't know all the details. It's a report. Justice Department comes out with this. That's not my big issue. My big issue is that I'm really, really sick and tired of every time I turn around finding something else that the Democrats have lied about or downplayed or misrepresented along the way. Where's the $1.5 billion that was given to the Democratic Party? Where is it? Where'd the money go? Why was Oprah given $2.5 million? Why was Al Sharpton's National Action Network given that much money? Before interviews, by the way. Why? I think it was $500K for the National Action Network. Why? I want to be clear. I don't have any problem with the National Action Network taking that money because they don't have a lot of money. I have more of a problem with Oprah taking $2.5 million when she's worth over $1 billion. But speaking to us as if her heart and soul was so immersed in supporting Kamala Harris. Well, then why didn't you do it for free? I'm just asking. I'm just asking these things because I think it's important. And I think that the time has arrived where we have to stop.
So I honestly don't think this video, my video, is going to get all that many views. But Stephen A's epiphany here is so powerful to me that it was impossible for me not to do a video on it. I think if anyone out there has friends or family that voted for Kamala Harris or Democrat supporters, but they're reasonable and willing to have a conversation about politics. And I know that's rare on both sides these days. Everyone wants to fight. But if there is someone open to seeing things, I really think they need to see this, because Stephen A. Smith has made it very clear he's not voting for Donald Trump. But I've always noticed that he calls things relatively fairly, and I don't agree with a ton he says. I'm sure we're pretty far apart politically, but I've gained a little respect for him here because he sees all this evidence and says, okay, what am I supposed to do? Just ignore all this? Now, if you're conservative, you've probably known all of this stuff. We knew about the FBI informants on the ground, but we were told, well, we don't know how many. Or I saw Chris Wray talking about it 6 months, a year ago in front of Congress. Will you tell us how many FBI agents were on the ground that day? Well, we're not sure. They knew back then. And it's surprising that we didn't get this information before the election, huh? Odd timing. But I just think this is a really good video to show someone that's willing to listen. He actually has more to lose than probably most for the fact that he works for ESPN still, right? That hasn't changed, right? He works for woke ESPN, and he's in the celebrity game. So I'd call him in Hollywood, He has actually more to lose by just telling the truth here. But the way I see it, the next 2 or 3 things that he says that I don't agree with, I'm going to let him slide because you haven't watched the whole thing yet. Because I really respect his honesty here and just calling what he sees fairly. That's all we can ask. That's all anybody can ask of people in the media, And while I joke around on this show and stuff, I have to admit that while there's nothing to be gained by gloating or saying see to Democrats or whatever, I don't think that helps. I have to admit, and maybe this is a character flaw of mine, it feels pretty darn good to hear someone with a huge platform like him articulate so well what we, on the right, have been right about all along. And we've wanted to shake people that we think are smart people and say, why are you not seeing all the lies? But even from those people, 99.999% of them will never come up to us and say, you know what, I was a jerk to you, but you were right. So I do get a little enjoyment when someone that's left of center just tells the truth and passionately. Like Stephen A. Smith, when he's not on your side of an opinion, you're like, he's so annoying. But I'll tell you what, when his opinion is one that you agree with, like right now, I'm like, right on, Stephen A. Because he even makes me realize, I know I'm not very good at this, but he makes me realize how really bad I am at this because he's so articulate and says in, 8 minutes here what it would take me 3 videos to say. So anyway, I will stop talking. We'll get back to the video. I just really wanted you all to see this. Anyway, let's go.
Letting stuff go all the time, particularly when it comes to the left. I see Republicans like Megyn Kelly or Officer Tatum or Candace Owens or, the Sean Hannitys of the world. You know what I'm getting tired of? I'm getting to the Democratic Party. You know what I'm getting really pissed off about? I'm getting really ticked off at every time they open their mouth about something pertaining to y'all, they seem right. I would love to argue with Sean Hannity. How can I? Do you know what Sean Hannity used to do to me when I told him Kamala Harris had a chance? He'd laugh. Like literally, genuinely giggle. He'd go on TV and put on his straight face to y'all. You got to be concerned. This election could go either way. He laughed. He wasn't concerned about her. Before I called out Biden, he was calling Biden Sleepy Joe. What's percolating on social media today? Just go and look at it, y'all. Joe Biden is caught napping at an African summit in Angola for at least a full minute. They didn't say whether he was snoring or not. That's about all that was missing. But he was clearly asleep. I'm not going to pardon my son. I want to state for the record, I have no problem with him pardoning Hunter Biden. I had a problem with him trying to act like it was unjust what was being done in pursuit of getting after my son because they wanted to get to me. All you had to say was, I'm pardoning my son because he's my son. You couldn't just say that, though. You know why you couldn't say that, President Biden? Because you had been telling us it was the last thing that you were going to do. And why did you say that? Why did Karine Jean-Pierre, remember how she said he will absolutely not pardon his son? It's all over social media right now. They kept saying it. It's everywhere. How many times did the Democrats tell us no one's above the law? No one's above the law. No one's above the law. Nancy Pelosi, Hakeem Jeffries, Elizabeth Warren, who makes you feel like your soul is going to hell if you don't agree with her. Inconsistency after inconsistency after inconsistency. We can argue policies. We can argue politics all day long. But the Democrats worked really, really diligently to make the case that the right had a monopoly on insidious, evil tendencies, corrupt tendencies, duplicitous, hypocritical, untruthful tendencies. And every time they made those accusations, we turn around and find out that at least some of them are guilty of the same shit. I don't know about y'all, but I'm sick of all of it. I'm sick of all of it. They've actually made Donald Trump look like he was right instead of them. Think about that. He didn't just get to raise his fist on election night as a victor. He's been raising it every night ever since for one different issue after another that he keeps winning because he keeps highlighting what they lied about. I'm sick of it. I have nothing to say.
For those of you who don't like it when I talk so much, it's your lucky day, because what can I add to that? I think Stephen A. said a lot to digest there. But I do want to say, I can't wait to see how Destiny, Packman, Kalinsky, Chank, how they're all going to spin this, if they even acknowledge it. Because they're creative. You got to give them that. So I'm looking forward. Please, please let me be able to do a video on their response to this. Anyway, I'll just ask you before we end the show. Is Stephen A. spot on? Did he leave something out? Did he get some information wrong that maybe I have missed? Because I agreed with everything that he said. Let me know what you think in the comments. Anyway, that's it for this video. If you like watching videos of people like Stephen A. waking up to the truth and expressing it, then click on one of the two videos that just popped up on your screen. Otherwise, as always, can't tell you how much I appreciate you watching. The end.